The Watership Down podcast is intended for listeners who are familiar with the plot. There may be spoilers. This episode is filmed, edited and narrated by Newell Fisher. Hello and welcome to the Watership Down podcast, episode 108. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll have already noticed a difference. You can see me because I'm filming this episode. The site visit wasn't an episode of the podcast, the first one I did. This one is an actual episode. It'll be going up on YouTube first, then it'll go on Spotify, my podcast provider. It's changed from Anchor once it's up on YouTube. So I'll try and make this good radio for those of you who can't see this, but the YouTube link, the link on the YouTube will be in the notes for the podcast. So then, what's all this about? Well, I decided I was going to do a video episode this week, just for a difference. There's no script on this episode at all, just a bit of preparation. The site visits have not been happening, you'll have noticed. I made the decision I was going to do the site visits in the order they come in the book. And that just wasn't happening because the second site visit from the Embourne to the Warren of the Snares requires the permission of two landowners, and with my life the way it is at the moment, getting that together just was not happening. They will happen. I'm determined that those site visits are going to happen, but I've decided to cut to the chase. So you may have noticed I'm outdoors. I've come to a site associated with the book Watership Down, where you don't need permission to be, where there's open access. So, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, without further ado, welcome to Watership Down. Well, I'm better prepared today than I was when I did my first site visit, because being English, that means I'm not adapted to my own climate. We're the only race on earth not adapted to our own climate. So it was August 2021, so I thought I won't need wet weather gear, and I got drenched. So I got my coat. I remembered my welly boots today. I'm also using an external mic, which is tucked away in my coat here. Otherwise you would not be able to hear me. It's a very windy day. This is not ideal weather for this, but hey. Later on, I'm going to go through an email that I've received from somebody in Germany. I can't remember the name at the moment. I'll look it up when I get there. About how you get to the sites in the book and what permissions you need to get to access the sites in Watership Down. I'm going to be going through that probably when I'm in the beach hangar at Watership Down. Because it's fair enough that when you visit another country you're not sure what the permissions are. It's fairly good, but I'll just let you know which ones are easy to get to and which ones aren't. This one's easy. I'll avoid babbling. So you'll see me next when we're at the honeycomb. Welcome to the honeycomb. Well, this tree here wasn't here when Watership Down was written. The original tree blew down in 2004, very sadly. It survived the Great Storm of 1987. And it blew down in 2004, and this tree was planted to replace it with this fence around it. And if you go up to it here, just check my microphone, there's a plaque here in recognition of Richard Adams, a lover of Watership Down and its inhabitants, May 2013. And on this fence have been scratched Keha, Bigwig, Hazel, Fiver. So this in the film is the site of the honeycomb, right here, right under this tree, right here on this path, the Wayfarer's Way. That's it. That's not the tree, obviously the one famous one from the film, that's its replacement. That is the very site right here. However, if you are a fan of the book, then this is not the site of the honeycomb. The site of the honeycomb is the beach hangar over there, which I'm about to go to. More specifically, the northeast corner of the beach hangar. And very excitingly, I've just seen, running around the edge of the beach hanger, some rabbits. There are rabbits on Watership Down. And this is the northeast corner of the beach hanger. There's an old tree there that might have been there when the book was written, a large tree, possibly that would have been a feasible one for the honeycomb. But like I say, the warren in the book is built just at the northeast corner of the beach hanger. The beach hanger is a long, thin wood. It runs south from here. I'm at this northern end. It's a windbreak, you get typical windbreak you get on downland. So right here is where the warren would be, and I'd like to think that tree was alive in 50 years ago when the book was written, and therefore maybe that tree, that is where the honeycomb is. It's on a gallop, or the end of a gallop. I've just come through the gate just there, and that's a gallop there, which is mentioned in the book. Now oddly, there's this belt of trees in front of me, and then you need to get through the gate to the other gallop there. It's a bit more enclosed than I expected. I may be on private land here, I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm going to go into the beach hanger now, just take a look. So, well, there's another tree there. Lots of damaged trees, lots of fallen trees basically, so there would have been more trees at this northeast corner, so this would have been an ideal place for a warren. And like I say, over there, along there, earlier I saw rabbits, which I didn't expect to see. I'm going to keep still later and try and see some, but meanwhile I'm just going to go into the beach hanger. Not the easiest environment. This is familiar from site visit one. Lots of fallen trees. But that's the landscape described in the book. That's the open landscape described in the book. Now I'm going to try and get over this tree, so I'll switch off for now and try and get over there. So I'm in the wood now, a little way in. That's the northeast corner up there, but this is open ground that rabbits are surprised by. And I'm going to sit down and have a rest. So here I am in the hanger. I'm just going to look up a passage from Watership Down I want to read to you. In the beach hanger at Watership Down. I can't believe I'm here. This is 2 hours away from where I live. One thing I haven't said, I'm a stranger here. This is only my third time here in my life. I came here once as a child, another time in my late teens, early 20s. I haven't been back since, unbelievably. I will be back a lot more now, but I just haven't been here. I don't know this place. So, yeah. Anyway, this is from the chapter Watership Down. Oh, Frith, thought Hazel, turning his head for a moment to the bright glow in the west. Are you sending us to live among the clouds? If you spoke truly to Fiver, help me to trust him. At this moment he saw Dandelion, who had run well ahead, squatting on an anthill clear against the sky. Alarmed, he dashed forward. Dandelion, get down, he said. Why are you sitting up there? Because I can see, replied Dandelion, with a kind of excited joy. Come and look. You can see the whole world. This is an extract from the chapter Fear in the Dark, which I thought was quite relevant. It was different from the meadow copses they had left. A narrow belt of trees, 400 or 500 yards long, but barely 50 wide, a kind of windbreak common on the downs. It consisted almost entirely of well-grown beeches. The great smooth trunks stood motionless in their green shade, the branches spreading flat, one above another in crisp, light-dappled tiers. Between the trees the ground was open and offered hardly any cover. The rabbits were perplexed. They could not make out why the wood was so light and still, and why they could see so far between the trees. The continuous gentle rustling of the beech leaves was unlike the sounds to be heard in a copse of nut bushes, oak and silver birch. Moving uncertainly in and out of the edge of the hangar, they came to the northeast corner. Here there was a bank from which they looked out over the empty stretches of grass beyond. Fiver, absurdly small beside the hulking bigwig, turned to Hazel with an air of happy confidence. "I'm sure Blackberry's right, Hazel," he said. "We ought to do our best to make some holes here. I'm ready to try anyway." The others were taken aback. Pipkin, however, readily joined Hazel at the foot of the bank, and soon 2 or 3 more began scratching at the light soil. The digging was easy, and although they often broke off to feed or merely to sit in the sun, before midday, Hazel was out of sight and tunnelling between the tree roots. My copy of Watership Down, the one I read when I first saw the film in 1978, the one I rustled in episode 1, in the beach hangar at Watership Down. It's incredible to think, and this is basically the 2-year anniversary of the podcast. It turned 2 years on the 15th of March. I missed that last week, as I always do, but that's okay, because this is the 2-year celebration. When I started this podcast, it was illegal to travel here because of the pandemic. Whatever you think of those laws, and I agree with them, it was illegal to be here. And now here I am, 2 years later. Incredible. I've also brought 2 other friends with me. These are recent purchases because I lost my original copy of Tales from Watership Down, but here it is for those of you who like the book. Tales from Watership Down, in the beach hangar at Watership Down. And of course, The Private Life of the Rabbit by R.M. Lockley. Now if I can, along there later I'm going to try and get some film of rabbits, because I can't believe I saw some here. It's a good place for them to live, I suppose. They were at the northwest corner of the beach hangar, but I'm going to try to film them. But there you go. Those of you who are fans of those 2 books, they're here as well. Right, I've had an email from Eric Steps in Germany, and he says, "My name is Eric, and I'm from Germany. I'm a big Watership Down fan and started listening to your podcast a few months ago. I appreciate the amount of effort and thought that is put into your podcast, and that keeps the legacy of Watership Down still alive even after 50 years this book got published. I also saw you visited some of the real-life locations that are described in the book. This July I plan a trip to England, and I want to visit the real Watership Down. Should have put my glasses on. And a lot of places that are described in the book. My family comes with me as support, even though they are not familiar with Watership Down as I am. I wanted to ask if there is anything to be considered when I'm in this region. I heard a lot of the locations are in private property and not easily accessible. Is there something I have to heed, or are there certain locations I can't visit at all? Or is it maybe possible to get permission from local people who own this country to visit spots that are on private property? As a foreigner, I don't want to overstep accidentally some boundaries or get into trouble with law or anger the local people there. Besides Watership Down, I would like to see the Sandalwood Warren location, River Embourne, the Newtown Churchyard, the location of Cowslips Warren, Watership Down, Nuthanger Farm, only from the outside, it says, OFC only from the outside. I'm not sure what OFC stands for. Efraffa, the River Test with the bridges, the so-called Keyhar Bridge. I hope you can help me here, and I wish you the best with the podcast, and hope much more episodes will be produced. With best regards, Eric." Thank you for your email, Eric. I did say I'd be replying to you in this episode, and I told you you'd like the reply, because your email's been read out on Watership Down. So then, let's go through the list. Sandalwood Warren is in Sandalwood Park at the south of Newbury. It's a wild park. It's not a municipal park, a well-tended park. It's a wild park. It's not that easy to get to, but it is open access. I went there for Sandalwood Warren, but you have to walk a bit to get there, and parking nearby is minimal. When I went there, I assumed the Sandalwood Park went right down to the banks of the Embourne, through the woods. Turned out, when I was in the woods, there's a private property sign. I had no idea about that before I went there, so I did trespass. I apologise for that in the episode on that site visit. you do need permission from the Sandalford estate to get into the lower part of the woods and to the Enbourne, both the north bank and the south bank. Now, the next visit will be to the south bank of the Enbourne. That's also in the Sandalford estate, the south part of it, and that leading up to the road. So through where the bean field is up to the road, that's private property. You'd need permission. Going through the list, there's an old phone here. So the road, obviously, is road. That's easy to visit. Then Newtown Churchyard is accessible. Churchyards normally are in this country. There's 2 churches in Newtown. I want to sort out which one he meant, because there are 2 of them. I assume it's the nearer one to where they cross the road. Right. The common is obviously common. You can go on that. The common they cross to get to Cowslips Warren. Cowslips Warren is in Adbury Park, which is again a private estate. You would need permission to get to the site of Cowslips Warren if you can find it. So if you want to do it legit, I'd urge you to. Adbury Park Estate is the site of Cowslips Warren. Nuthanger Farm is a real farm. It's just over there. I hope to show you it later. There's a fence for the gallops over there, so I hope to get through that and be able to. I shouldn't be on the gallops probably, but just look over the scarp slope and show you the view of Nuthanger Farm. That's a private residence. Obviously, there is a company based there. When I film, I'm going to ask permission if I can go into the farm. I don't expect to get it. That's a helicopter. A lot of them around here. It's quite a lot of military activity. I'll let that pass. Yeah, but there is a right of way that goes by Nuthanger Farm, so you would be able to see it if you walk up the lane. The lane that features in the film. In the film, the ditch where they meet Holly is in that lane. In the book, it's actually at the foot of the down. So you would be able to see Nuthanger Farm. Watership Down, obviously open. I'm not sure about the status where I am. There was a sign saying no right of way, but I'm not going to go any further into the hangar. Then Effraffa is on a public bridle path. You can go there. A lot of the walk south to Effraffa is on Caesar's Belt and so on. There are lots of public footpaths you can go on. And then you can walk along the Test. I think you can walk along the Test. I'm not so familiar with that area yet. You can see the bridges. You can cross all the bridges. Yeah, so that sums up access to Watership Down is. I'm happy to help anyone else with questions. You know, my next site visit, I will be having to talk to the Sandalford Park estate. I did talk to them in April last year, nothing came of it, and also to the Adbury Park estate. That's what I need to do before I can do the second site visit, which is what had been blocking this from happening. That's why I've decided to just do this. I won't be going anywhere else today. I don't plan to. I'll see if I can see Caesar's Belt. But anyway, I hope that answers your question, Eric, and anyone else is wondering. Yes, you can get to these sites. Some of them have to ask permission. Now, I found an article from The Guardian from 2018 when the Netflix version came out, and the title was, "On the Real Watership Down, Rabbits Are Hard to Come By," which is brilliant. Well, I've seen some over there. I'll read you a brief quote from it. "On Watership Down itself, rabbits are certainly hard to come by. The Warren, a deep combe set into the down, is pockmarked with burrows. That's along there to the east. But an hour's watching reveals just 4 rabbits. Although there are fewer rabbits, the landscape does bear marks of the book. The huge beech tree that sheltered the Watership Down Warren was a landmark for many years. People used to really care about that tree, says local resident Brian. One lady even made her husband drive 3 hours from Cheshire in the Great Storm of 1987 just to check it was all right. The tree finally blew down in 2004 and a newly planted sapling stands in its place, ironically fenced to protect it from rabbit damage. If that fencing wouldn't protect it from rabbits, if there was fencing in amongst the wooden posts, that's gone. But the tree seems to be okay. Carry on. The names of 2 of Adam's rabbit creations, Fiver and Hazel, are scratched into the fencing, the most bucolic of graffiti. And I saw Keehar and Bigwig as well. There might be other names scratched there as well. But anyway, that's a relevant article that gave me some information on the tree we saw earlier. So, I'm nearly done here. I'm going to do some more filming around because I'm sure you've had enough of looking at my face. Also, we're due rain in the next couple of hours, so I want to get done before that, obviously. The weather's very changeable today. So, I've had my lunch and we're going to have a bit of a look around here and take in the atmosphere. Now I don't know if this tree had particular significance for Richard Adams, but it will for me now. It's a little way into the hangar. It's probably not the tree that would have had the honeycomb under it, but I think this will be my spot from now on when I come back here. It's important to have a spot. Let's go and look around a bit. In this country we have rights of way, permitted paths which go through people's private land that you're allowed to use, but they have made it clear that the hangar here, walking through it, is not a public right of way. Now I've got a little way into it there, I think I'll get away with that, but yeah. Just something to bear in mind, if you aren't used to England, we do have rights of way. It does mean if you follow them, you can cross private land if you stick to the right of way, but you need to watch out for things like this. Now I'm trying to get some footage of the rabbits here. You can see over there in the fence there is a hole, quite clear rabbit hole in that fence there. And this is where I saw the rabbits when I arrived here. Of course, I got talking to a local man, very nice man, who told me about Nuthanger Farm and how you can get to Nuthanger Farm. But as soon as the rabbits saw us, of course, they ran away, and I haven't seen them since, and I've been tramping around in the woods, so I may not get them, but I'm going to give it a few minutes, because it'd be wonderful to get some film of rabbits on Watership Down. Well, I've just waited 15 minutes to see if I could see any rabbits, but no, it's not going to happen, I don't think. With me crashing around in the trees and talking, Hazel and Co are not coming out to play. But this is where I've been looking. I know it's really bad radio, some of this. It was on the northwestern corner of the beach hangar. The weather is closing in now, so I do need to call it a day. But they're around here, running around on the edge. Like I said, there is a hole in the fence there that would be rabbit related, and I was right near where they were, so they were around here. So I'm not going to go away with any evidence today. I did honestly see them. They were clear as day, quite big ones as well. I was talking to that local when I saw them and just didn't get my camera out in time. But there are rabbits here, there really are, and I'm very sad I haven't got them on camera. It would have been really good, running around just here. Anyway, at that point I'm going to say goodbye to the beach hangar on Watership Down. And there's the beech sapling that replaced the tree that blew down into. So that is basically, let's say, the iconic tree, its replacement. Just get your bearings. We're looking west here. That's the direction Hazel arrives back from, the road over there in the chapter Dea Ex Machina. Along the run there, he's dropped off on the road down there. That direction, looking south, is the direction of Ephrathah. To be revisited later, I'm sure. I hope you can hear this. West there is where I came from, and the scarp slope is over there. Now I'm going to get to that if I can, so we can have a look north and look at Nuthanger Farm. But the weather is definitely closing in, so I'm going to, let's say, call it a day, and I will be back in nicer weather, I hope. Make sure I close the gate, always be responsible. And yeah, time to get back to the car, I think. I'll get over there to the scarp slope so we can see the view if I can. There's a direction marker up there, because the actual top of the hill is there with the other OS markers, concrete posts. So the different nations have different versions of them. I'm not going to go to that today, that's a bit further up there. That's again to the west. But yeah, Hazel comes running along here and rejoins his companions in the book. And you just see over there, because they have this fence here, you can just see the hill with Nuthanger Farm on it. I'll see if I can find a gap, but I probably won't. There's a pretty high gallops here. But yeah, I'll get another angle on it if I can from further along. Yeah, you can feel the weather's closing in now. Goodbye, honeycomb. I will be back soon, I hope. Now over there you can see a lane and some there's a building there on the left. That is Nothanger Farm. That's the hill Nothanger Farm is on. It's just over the brow of the hill. You could just about make out some buildings. So yeah, I have got a view of Nothanger Farm there. Can't see down the scarps though because I can't get over this gallop fence, which is really annoying. Sometime I'll come here and walk up the scarp so you can see from the top of the scarp. I hope to get that view today, but that is Nothanger Farm there behind those trees. And that lane there is the lane where Holly is discovered in the film. And the lane, of course, down which the dog is led in book and film. And so, of course, this down here would be just about where the dog arrives and then rushes along here to finish off the Efrathans. So yeah, there we go. Definitely Nothanger Farm there. Can't see much of it. I thought you'd get a better view of it, but you can see a farm building there and the lane. Come and look. You can see the whole world. I found a gate in the gallops and here's the view. Looking east, looking north, looking west. I'm sorry this is rubbish radio. You just have to look at the YouTube. What I thought was Nothanger Farm, that I believe is Nothanger Farm there. That is the lane there. I'm slightly off from, because the honeycomb's up there, along there a bit now, but that is the lane leading up to Nothanger Farm, and there it is. I believe I'm right in saying. So those buildings over there weren't Nothanger Farm. That is the lane. Case, I'll check that out later. But anyway, in any case, down there is the iron tree. There's two of them. One there. But that's the one I think is referenced in the book. That's the one Fiver sits under. That is the iron tree. It suggests, as it does line up with that lane, that might be Nothanger up there. I need to check that out later. I will look on the map in a minute, but there's the iron tree. And there's, zoom, the whole world. Reasonable view for a day with weather like this. There it is. I'm going to look on the map and confirm which is which, because the iron tree down does line up rather well with that lane there. So I need to sort out which is which. That was right the first time. That's Nothanger Farm. That's a road. There's a crossroads there. That's not Nothanger Farm down there. It is those buildings over there behind that lane there. Sorry about the confusion there. I'm going to put all this in because it's great fun. Trying to work this out. Like I say, this isn't very good radio, but hopefully my voice is keeping you going. So that is the lane, right there. And then they run across to the iron tree here. That's where Hyes and Slay rest in the film. I'm going from memory now, I've not got the book with me. Hyes and Slay is not involved in the book, so that's where Dandelion goes to ground, or does it go to ground in the lane? I'll look that up later. Anyway, and then they run up the down here, along to Watership Down there, the honeycomb. Right, the weather's definitely closing in now, so I am going home. And this will be on YouTube first, and then on Spotify after that, when I've got the audio off it. A kestrel. I think it's a kestrel. Hovering, hunting over there. Sorry about the shot with the kestrel. I forgot to plug my mic in, so the wind noise has been rather strong. I'm going home now. I can feel the rain coming on, feel the weather changing. Next time we start looking at part 3 of Tales from Watership Down, which is set right here. just as an added bonus, this is Caesar's Belt, the road section of Caesar's Belt, and Watership Down is that way.